My next guest is a former fashion model who says her eating disorder began at 8 years old. She says that by the age of 16, she was binging and purging, and by 26, she weighed 90 pounds. But when she looked in the mirror, all she could see was a fat girl. She also is the author of Washed Away From Darkness to Light. Please welcome Nikki to the show. Welcome.
Yay, Nikki.
Welcome, dear.
It's
Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
At 90 pounds, what did you see when you looked in the mirror?
Well, I had body dysmorphic disorder. And body dysmorphic disorder is when you look in the mirror and you take a perceived flaw and you exaggerate it. So basically, I looked at myself and I wasn't even leaving my house because, for example, my nose was made fun of a lot in the modeling industry. So I saw a really large nose, or I looked in the mirror and I saw a monster, like a creature. I was locking myself in my house, and I was binging and purging 10 times a day before and after castings, and I was self-harming. And just going to extreme lengths because I hated the person that I saw. I hated myself, and really I just wanted to die.
When you started talking about this disorder, how your image morphed in the mirror, is it coming from what people said? Is it a physiological disorder, or is it a psychological consequence?
I think it's a combination.
Okay.
I think a lot of it is genetic. I was predisposed genetically, and also it was a combination of my environment. I was raised in a really strict environment, and I think a combination of those factors combined with the fact that I went into the modeling industry,
Right.
which is very strict, very competitive, and they're not educated about mental health. So when you have all those factors combined, it can be a recipe for disaster.
Wow. When did you notice this problem, this way in which you perceived yourself affecting the way you eat?
Really early. I started to overeat, what we know as binge eating. I ate a lot of food in a short amount of time when I was 8 years old, and that turned into bulimia when I was 10.
What did your parents do with that? Did they know what it was? Did they just laugh it away?
Well, my mother and my father divorced when I was 2.
Okay.
I have a wonderful father, and I just want to say that I don't blame any of my problems on anyone else. But it was never like, oh, let's go get you some help. Let's go, you know.
Right.
So I was pretty much on my own for most of my life, and I just, continued living that way. It was my normal, let's say.
When you go into school, because kids can be so mean, I mean, they can really be mean.
Right.
And it's worse now. They got tools to do it, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Right.
You know,
Right.
back in my day, they just had to say something bad on the bus. It's a real issue. Was fat shaming part of the problem, even in modeling school?
Yes, so I went to this prestigious modeling school when I was 16, and I felt very out of place already, and I was just a healthy, normal weight. So I walked on the runway and I felt so stupid, the way I walked and everything. A teacher took me in front of everyone. She lifted up my shirt. She said, "What kind of exercises do you do?" She said, "You need to have," because the girls were wearing these kind of tummy-bearing shirts, and she said, "You need to have stomachs like theirs." And she actually patted my stomach, and she said, "You need to go home. Your homework assignment is to go home and, get in better shape." And I was already dealing with bulimia and all these mental health issues. I didn't know that, that I had mental health issues. So I just went home and purged and binged and purged. And the thing is that in the modeling industry, the way that they treat models, that's their normal. Eating disorders, especially anorexia nervosa, has the highest mortality rate of any mental illness, period.
It seems like there is some sort of correlation between the strict home and the desire to be modeling. Like, look at me, am I enough? Am I enough?
Right.
Am I enough? Am I enough? As opposed to what I think or, what else I can do. Appearing to be valuable seems to be critical when you come from an area where you have been devalued. Do you agree with that?
Exactly. And yeah.
Yes.
What do you want young girls and mothers to get out of you being here today talking to us?
My worth and value is knowing that I'm God's child. Um, and really that saved my life, and that has helped to build the self-esteem, because I had no self-esteem.
Very powerful truth. Very, very powerful. Nikki, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story and going out front so that other people could be helped.